Welcome back folks, my name is LastKnownMeal and today in Cyberpunk 2077 we are going to talk about nomads, but also about nomad families like Aldecaldos and Wraiths, so let's get into it. Now, because a nomad is a life path in the game, many people got really excited about it, maybe because of the life and the overall style they have, but nomads are generally interesting. We can trace their history all the way back to 1995 when the collapse happened in the States and millions of people were left without a job and a home. So people got together in these caravans to move from one city to another in search of a job. And when you travel in group or just want to defend yourself in the bare wasteland outside of cities, you have to band together. You cannot go out there on your own. You won't succeed. Now, their social structure is divided into a couple of groups like families, clans, tribes, and nations. Families can have from 2 people to, let's say, 100. A clan is made up from multiple families and does range from a couple of hundred to over 1,000 members. Tribes are of course larger, they have about several thousand nomads there, and nations are the highest tier, which is consisted from hundreds of thousands of people. Fun fact, the biggest nomad nation has about 1 million members, and that's why I don't really mess with the nomads, because you never know what family and what tribe and what nation is that going to be and how they are going to retaliate. Now, for a nomad, family is everything. They do everything to help their clan or family or whatever and get rewarded for it. Of course, if you screw up, you get exiled, like probably our character at the start of the life path, because he does rip off that patch. And it's the same like in MCs, your patch is everything. Of course, Nomad had it the best after the Fourth Corporate War, since they were mostly not involved and live outside of the city. They kept their trading and distribution routes. They even helped the citizens of Night City to rebuild it after the war, so they are in a really good position in 2077. As we talked about it yesterday, the 6th Street gang works with them because why wouldn't you? They have the best transport routes and they can pretty much transport anything, and they know Badlands like the back of their hand. Nomad nations have their own territories, and of course there is always some feud with the other families or nations or whatever, but it never escalated into a full-blown war, so on that end, nomads are really smart. Now, nomads are divided into 2 groups. You have the 7 nations and Raf and Shiv. The 7 nations have their own ways, of course, and there are 7 of them, as the name tells, but if you compare them to the Raf and Shiv, they are very civilized. Raf and Shiv are bandits and outlaws. They are usually the outcasts from other families and basically do nothing else than pillage and steal. So in the game, if you do encounter some nomads attacking you, it's probably Raf and Shiv, so you don't have to worry about them, no one likes them. Nomads don't really interact with the police and corporations all that much. Obviously they have certain contracts they work on, like construction and some other, manual labor, but generally, even though their operations are both legal and illegal, they try to keep a healthy balance of both, because if they go into, let's say, a bad direction, they will just become Raf and Shiv. Now, one thing every single nomad have in common is their love for cars and bikes. They tune their vehicles so much, and usually most of them are really good mechanics, so I guess we might do a lot of racing with them, but also their cars are optimized for terrain such as the Badlands around Night City. So if you actually want a vehicle which is more, designed for the Badlands, then you get the ones from Nomads. Luckily, in the book, there is a lot about the 2 nations, and those are Aldecaldos and Wraiths. So originally Aldecaldos are from LA. They are one of the most famous nomad groups in the lore, as well in the world itself. They make temporary camps around desert, but they never go as a single group, so in a sense they split a bit. Their caravans operate in the free states of West Coast, and their jobs usually consist of transporting passengers and merchandise over state borders in large, well-guarded convoys, because Go gangs will always try to get the loot, especially the Raf and Shiv and their subsidiaries. Aldecaldos were formed around early 2000s after the collapse by Juan Aldecaldo. Juan was basically a migrant who made a very famous speech to the media around his son, which passed away in a gang shootout, and also he was very emotional of the downfall of the states. His speech moved a lot of people, which joined him because, well, most of the other people as well were without a job. So they went from LA to Mexico City to try and rebuild it. They were also helping other nomadic tribes to expand and get on their feet. But when Juan died, they moved him back to LA, where they buried him and stayed in that region. Keep in mind, for the next 3 generations, this faction is ruled by the Santiago family. They were also the one who were the main reason for Night City being rebuilt. They were the primary force of Nomads, which helped the people rebuild Night City, and you're going to meet a lot of them in the game. They're probably going to be the biggest ones, and of course you will meet the Santiagos, but that is a story for another day. And as I said before, this Nomad group is usually hired as manual farm labor, of course. They also engage in bootlegging and smuggling along, their routes. In NC region there is about 500 to 600 of them, but you have tens of thousands all over the state. Now, Wraiths are a whole different story because they are somewhat of a subsidiary of Raffenschiff. They are extremely brutal and dangerous. They operate with military-grade equipment, with cybernetics, so they are not your regular bandits. Now, even other families kind of follow the law and society, the overall rules, but Wraiths completely ignore it. They dominate the area around Night City. They usually move in, just around and attack small groups of nomads or people going around. So they're also probably going to be the reason why you got attacked in the Badlands. Their history is unknown, but they mostly have just outcasts, bandits and killers in their group. And because other nomad families banded together to survive and make something out of themselves, when you're together in a family, in a group, you can go from one city to another, get a job, get manual labor, whatever, but they were formed only to pillage and steal. They don't have any other jobs or systems in place for income besides looting. They are sometimes hired as mercenaries, but even then they betray people and take their loot, so watch out when you interact with them. Obviously we saw one of their vehicles, fully equipped and armored, so always expect them to stab you in the back in the game. Always. Obviously, this is just a small portion of the lore of Nomads from the World of Cyberpunk book. There is something which I added from the Cyberpunk source books, but generally everything is here, so I really advise you to, get this book if you can. It has a lot of lore information around, updated information, which is kinda cool. And look, I know we use the same background, gameplay and whatever on all videos. It's just how it is now because, at least we have some new gameplay. But when they do release more, of course, I will put it when the game comes out. You will have majority of just different gameplay in the background and cinematics I will create. So that's coming, don't worry. So thank you everyone for watching. If you enjoyed the video, smash that like and subscribe button for more, and tell me down below what do you think about this. And also check out netrunner2077.net. It's made by the Cyberpunk community for the Cyberpunk community, and it has all of the related stuff from news to artwork to whatever. Just check it out. And also join our growing community on Twitter and Discord, and I made a Patreon page. If you were looking for an extra way to support the channel, you can actually do it there, and huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters. This is LKM signing out, and stay classy everyone. Bye bye.